So I'm trying to do something new and I don't know how to do it. This is like my fifth try of doing this video, and they've all been like 10 minutes long. So I've been at this um, for almost an hour, and I feel I have nothing to show for it. And this is what creative dreaming is, right? We get an idea. And for some reason, a lot of us have this part of us that expects that if we have an idea that we just do it, and that if we encounter any obstacle or like we're just unhappy with how it's going, we feel like, oh, that means I'm doing something wrong. And it really doesn't. This is just how it is. So I thought I had a simple idea, and it's like, I'm not sure how I want to do it, but every Friday I share my creative dream incubator dream status report. This is just a two-sided journaling sheet, which you can download on my blog. I put the link every Friday when I write my updates. So you can be doing this with me. And I just feel like as the world is more unstable and stressful, for a lot of people, our dreams are calling so much more clearly. Like we see the change we want to be in the world, and we see the creative vision of what we want to contribute and create and how we want to be. And it's a really interesting dynamic because feels like a lot of dreams are either being born or becoming more clear or maybe expanding. And at the same time, the world is like harder to deal with. And so do we have the mental clarity and energy needed to really go after our dreams? No. No, most of us don't. And is it even an option to not? Also no. So this is where we've been for a while, right? Creative dreaming is harder than it's ever been. Creative dreaming is more vital than it's ever been. And so that's part of why I wanted to start sharing these. Like every week on my blog, I post my dream status report, which is a 2-page journal sheet. I post the download link every Friday on my blog. You don't have to be in the coaching membership to do this with me. Everyone can do this. Some of the questions do draw on things in the coaching membership, so you might not be able to do all of them, or you could make up your own ways of doing it, right? What I mostly wanted to share, and the reason why I do this one for free, is because it's such a simple thing that is so helpful, right? And it's interesting how the best way to move forward is to look backward and to reflect. And so by reflecting every week, and this is the one thing I maybe have gotten the most pushback on from people over the years, especially creative people, that makes sense. But we always want to do the next new thing, right? We always want something new and exciting, and we want to push the boundaries. But asking the same questions every week creates a kind of structure and helps us be deeper in our process. And it's just a really, really helpful thing to do. So I did my sheet this morning. I started it and I was like so lost. I couldn't even answer what my dream is, which is a whole nother topic. I think I might do one day, because sometimes people feel like they're failing if they can't name their dream as a cohesive thing, but actually it means you're doing really well because your dream is your soul calling you towards your true self or showing you your path. And the process of listening to that soul calling is complicated. The idea that we should always hear it clearly is just nonsense, right? And if you can't hear it clearly, sometimes it's actually better, because often it means we're like sinking into a new layer of it, or we're allowing the dream to incubate a bit, or we're letting things change, we're letting our perspective change. Holding on to it as like, this is what I want and I'm never changing, often is we're not really coming from trying to listen to our soul. We're more coming from a more outer aspect of us who's decided that this goal is important and we're getting it come hell or high water. And that's not really what we're doing in creative dreaming. We're listening to what feels true and alive and inspiring and important. And so sometimes we got to listen and not hear answers. And sometimes we hear really clear answers. But this morning I did not have clear answers, and I was very frustrated with that. But what was neat is that as I went through the sheet, with each question, my dream became more clear. And by the second page, I was like, I remembered exactly. And also, when I looked at the last few questions, what do I need and what does my dream need? That's when it really came into focus. And it's like, oh, I do know what it is, but there's a lot of projects that I'm working on and ideas that I have to explore, and like, just a lot. And it's just all in my head. And I was like, wow, for a person who's been teaching journaling as long as I have, that's kind of interesting that I haven't put it in my journal. And so it was like, okay, yeah, that would give me the clarity. And so when I was looking at what do I need, I was imagining the small journal, just like write it all down. And then when I asked what my dream needs, it was like cheering for this, like, fuck yes, write it down, have a plan. But it was like, no, use the big journal. It's like 9 by 13 inches. And I want you to do like a full spread. I want both pages. I want this big, and I want every detail in there, because that is structure that you can hold on to when things feel uncertain. And so that's like, after doing this journaling process, that was my thing. Sorry, the last question in here is taking all of this into account. My focus for next week is, and that was my focus was just make a plan. And that's one thing that I want to leave you with, especially creative dreaming in these times. Smaller steps are better, right? Making a plan as a goal for the week can feel like, really, I could do that this afternoon and then like take 5,000 more steps next week, right? But the smaller the steps, the better. Remembering that engaging with your dream is an alchemical process. This is your dream calling you towards your true self and showing you your path. So it's also like about your healing and your growth. And you don't know what's going on in all of that. You really don't. The times when we feel like we know exactly what's going on with our healing and growth are the times when we're pretty delusional, right? We don't know what's going on with all of that. And so taking little steps is so much more effective. It actually gets you there faster. So if you could find the smallest possible step for you to take next week, and then keep coming back and doing this with me, that's the key to momentum. And that's just so much harder to find these days. And so that's why I wanted to start sharing a weekly video where I just talk about how I'm doing this and invite you to do it with me. So that's where I'm at. I didn't know they would be so long. Like, each time I do this, it's just so long. And my idea was that it would be shorter and easier to follow, but thank you for still being here. I'll see you next week.